This month on Connections, our travels take us to one of the South Side's most respected institutions, the DuSable Museum, our first stop. Still need to quench your thirst for knowledge? The CTA can get you to whatever museum you want to visit all year round. As we make our way north, we'll introduce you to two top CTA employees who make sure customers are always on the right track. Next, the Blue Line will take us right to the doorstep of a Chicago neighborhood known for its history, homes, and greenery. Our destination? Humboldt Park. As we board a bus headed south for the Green Line, new residents will see why the days of the welcome wagon are far from over, thanks to the CTA. Finally, we board the Green Line on our way to a place where the air is always fresh and clean. The Garfield Park Conservatory is our last stop.
There's so much to see and do around Chicagoland on the CTA. Hi, I'm Dale Rivera. Welcome to Connections, where you'll find out everything you need to know about using public transportation in and around Chicago. We begin in Hyde Park, one of Chicago's many interesting neighborhoods, and it's full of a number of firsts. It's where nuclear energy was first discovered, where visitors to the World's Columbian Exposition of 1893 rode the first Ferris wheel, and it's home to the first and only museum in Chicago dedicated to African American history. The DuSable Museum is our first stop.
The DuSable Museum in Chicago's Hyde Park neighborhood is the oldest independent museum of its kind in the country, and it's the only major institution in Chicago that preserves and interprets the historical experiences and achievements of African Americans.
We started in the home of Dr. Margaret Burroughs, and her late husband, Charles Burroughs, back in the 38th and Michigan, 43 years ago.
The Burroughs, along with a diverse group of Chicago artists and educators, first opened the museum to fill what they felt was a void in American history.
Often, African American history is either omitted, obscured, or somehow just distorted. And so when you open up a textbook of history, you forget that African American history is an integral part of American history. So it's important to tell our story, our history, and of our culture.
Originally named the Ebony Museum of Negro History and Art, the museum was renamed after Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable, a Haitian fur trader who was the first permanent settler in Chicago. In 1971, the museum relocated to Washington Park. The museum houses more than 190,000 paintings, drawings, photographs, wood and ivory carvings, bronze castings, and sculptures created by African artists. There are also artifacts, slave documents, manuscripts, rare books, films, recordings, and civil rights memorabilia.
One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Guests can expect many moments of discovery.
I'll give you a perfect example. We have an exhibit here on Annie Malone, and she actually was the first black woman millionaire who manufactured beauty products and hair care products for women of color.
Besides the Annie Malone exhibit, you'll also want to take in the Ames mural.
It took him 7 years to carve this wonderful wooden piece, 4 different wooden pieces that fit together that chronicle the experience of Africans in Africa and Africans as they were brought here to America all the way through the civil rights movement.
A recent addition to the museum is the gallery Africa Speaks, which showcases original African artifacts and addresses the Middle Passage.
We talk about how it is that we were brought here and the treatment and how we still had all of the character and the skills to overcome all of those adversities.
Another important permanent exhibit, A Fight to Fly, details the first African Americans to take flight.
We feature the Tuskegee Airmen, and of course, Bessie Coleman. Very proud of Bessie Coleman being the first black woman to fly a plane.
This couple is in town from Cleveland, and the DuSable is one of the first stops on their weekend agenda.
There's an exhibit on aviation, and I've heard of the museum coming in and out of Chicago and knowing some African American history, and I wanted to see it.
In 1993, the museum opened a new wing dedicated to the late Chicago mayor Harold Washington.
So when you look in the room again, this room shows how every community was brought together.
Located at 57th Street and South Cottage Grove Avenue, the DuSable Museum is easily accessible by the CTA. Here's how.
It's really convenient. It was quick, it was fast, everybody was very helpful.
Last time we were here, we spent all of our time at the Art Institute right on South Michigan. So we wanted to venture out, and the CTA really helped us do that.
You can always come if you've never been, and you can always return if you've been before.
The DuSable is just one of many world-class museums in Chicago. In fact, museums are such a draw, the CTA has routes, both regular and special, that take museum goers everywhere they need to go. All it takes is a little basic training.
Whether you want to explore the world of the deep sea, the never-ending universe of stars, the treasures of natural history, the vast achievements in the field of science, or just uncomplicated art for children, you can discover it all in Chicago. The city offers a wonderful selection of museums, and the CTA is the easiest way to go.
We're finding in the last couple of years that more and more people every day are taking the CTA to the museums. It's just the easiest way to get here. You don't have to worry about the hassles of the cost of parking or trying to find a parking space. With the CTA, you can get a bus straight to the front door of any one of the museums.
If you're heading to the Museum of Science and Industry, your travels will take you by bus to and from this first-rate institution.
We were walking on Michigan Avenue and we saw the bus stop and we saw the sign. It had the routes listed. It was very clear how to do that.
These ladies from Wisconsin and Indiana met in Chicago for the weekend, and they're using the CTA's number 10 Museum of Science and Industry route to visit the museum.
Went to a bus stop, looked, saw a good map and said, we can get there.
Chicago's museum campus is home to 3 world-class museums: the Adler Planetarium, the Shedd Aquarium, and the Field Museum, making it a big draw for Chicagoans and out-of-town visitors. In fact, more than 4 million people visit the museum campus each year. Chicago's Navy Pier is home to the Chicago Children's Museum and the Smith Museum of Stained Glass Windows. To accommodate visitors, the CTA has more than 1,100 bus trips serving Navy Pier on weekdays and more than 500 trips on weekends.
We've got 3 scouts who are junior scouts currently bridging to be cadets next year, and I'm their troop leader.
These Girl Scouts and their moms use the CTA's number 65 Grand Avenue bus to get to and from a Girls Rock scouting event held at the pier.
It's much easier to use CTA to get down here. It comes right to the pier. It's a few steps from the door.
There are also a few special direct routes that run only on weekends, holidays, and during the summer.
The special routes are a terrific addition to the regular CTA service, and we are seeing a lot of people using it.
Be sure to check with the CTA online at www.transitchicago.com by calling 1-888-YOUR-CTA or by picking up a brochure at a CTA station so you can confirm which routes are currently running at the time you're planning your museum destination. Now you can keep your eyes to the skies or on the deep sea while the CTA watches the road.
we're heading north on the Red Line. To do that, we'll have to pass through one of the CTA's many adopted rail stations. For customers, art at stations like this one in Chinatown makes the commute a little more inviting and memorable.
In today's hustle and bustle world, we're constantly rushing, running late, and answering our cell phones. Does it seem there's less and less time to stop, relax, and take a time out? Our area offers an abundance of fine art at local galleries and museums. But with our hectic schedules, who has the time? The CTA is bridging that gap by providing customers with art respites at several rail stations.
I like to see art sort of brought into public places where, those people like me who don't take enough advantage of the museums around, it's sort of nice to have it brought to where we are to give us something to think about.
With the CTA's Adopt a Station program, schools, businesses, and community organizations adopt their local rail stations, then surround the platforms and station houses with beautiful symbolic pieces.
And one of the main reasons for the Adopt a Station program is really to beautify the stations and sort of make stations the gateway to the communities that they serve.
The program is creating more inviting, attractive rail stations that reflect the history and diversity of our communities. Often the stations and the adopting organizations are neighbors, so when CTA customers arrive at their destinations, they feel a sense of place and identity.
So many of the different members of their organizations use the station, so every day they know that the CTA is really a part of their neighborhood. And I think that's really important to them. And for the CTA, it's really important for our customers. It sort of gives them something a little extra every day.
Last year, the Brown Line's Chicago Avenue station was adopted by the Marwin Foundation, a nearby nonprofit arts education and youth development organization.
It was great for them because the students use the stations every single day. They come from all sections of the city, so the CTA is really important to them. And they were able to come in here and really make a mark on this station.
Several students worked to beautify this station, which features 16 self-portrait murals that depict professions in the arts, along with 2 Venetian glass mosaic columns.
If you take a look at the murals as well as the mosaic work, you really see the hard work and diligence as well as just the dreams that students have had. And these type of projects really push the limits and expectations not only of professionals but of the students themselves.
One of the students whose artwork graces the Chicago Avenue station is Christina Aviles, who is now studying to become an art teacher.
It was a whole teamwork opportunity, and with that, it's like we all grew together, so it was actually fun.
They wanted us to do a portrait of ourselves in the background exactly as it would show if we were actually on the platforms.
Alster Del Rosario, now an aspiring fashion designer at Columbia College, is another student who literally sees himself every time he uses the station.
It's really strange. I'm very proud of it, and at the same time, I'm like, wow, when I'm gone and when I leave Chicago, there's always something I can look back and say, hey, that was me back then.
31 CTA rail stations are currently adopted, stations like this one on the Brown Line.
Columbia College's photography department adopted the Merchandise Mart station, and really what they did was they took a unique space within the CTA, which is the bridge that connects the north and the south platforms, and they turned that into a transit gallery.
The Red Line's Chicago Avenue station was adopted by the Greater North Michigan Avenue Association together with the Museum of Contemporary Art.
The Chicago and State station is where you would typically get off if you were going to visit the MC, so you sort of get a little bit of a preview when you get off the station there.
Red Line customers seem to enjoy the view.
I was happy to see something to look at, when you're standing down in the train station, especially when you're here every day. It kind of makes a nice variety.
The Garfield Park Conservatory Alliance, together with the Chicago Park District, adopted the Green Line's Conservatory Central Park Drive station. Then, a group of West Side teens, under the direction of the Chicago Public Art Group, helped create these interesting tile mosaics. The Chicago Chinatown Chamber of Commerce adopted the Red Line's Cermak Chinatown station. Across town in Wrigleyville, the Red Line's Addison station was adopted by artist Steve Musgrave, the only individual to single-handedly adopt a station. And the Blue Line's 18th Street station was adopted by Gallery 37 and the Mexican Fine Arts Center Museum. So if you're too busy to make time for a visit to an art museum, get a quick fix at one of the CTA's adopted rail stations. It just may inspire you.
This is one thing that, even if you just have a little simple interest in art, it gets you going. It gets you really into a flow of just, creativity.
We're headed from the red line to the blue line, and this tunnel at Jackson isn't the only thing that connects the two. Two CTA employees work on the different lines, but they both do the same job. And in 2003, they were brought together in competition and named the very best at what they do. They're just two CTA employees keeping you on the move.
Juice on A-track, 2332, juice!
Roosevelt Heyman is a switchman on the CTA's blue line.
858, Steve, you want me to line up the side track?
10-4, line up the side track, please.
Anthony Martin is also a switchman who works on the red line. Jobs like theirs are crucial to CTA operations. A switchman has many responsibilities, like preparing trains for service and equipping the cars with sleet scrapers and other tools. They couple and uncouple rail cars, bring rail cars back into the shop when they need repairs, and they bring the cars into the yards during downtime.
We have more trains going out on the AM and PM, and during our non-rush period, we have to take some of the trains off, so they are responsible for that.
They also throw the switches that allow the trains to change tracks.
This job is imperative because without the switchmen, we would be greatly hindered in delivering the quality, affordable service we at the Chicago Transit Authority attempt to provide.
It's a job both men value for many different reasons.
It's important to me because we're like CTA's first line of defense. When they want to get trains out in a timely fashion, we bring the trains up, we make sure the trains are operating.
I've been in this job now for 18 years. I enjoy the camaraderie I have with the guys. I enjoy working in the public with the customers, and I always enjoy being outdoors.
And when you like what you do for a living, it shows in your work. So much so that Roosevelt and Anthony were ranked as the CTA's top switchmen in the 2003 Rail Rodeo Championship.
I take pride in switching and in my work, and I was very excited. And I called my family and friends and also informed them that I was the 2003 rodeo champion for the switchmen.
Roosevelt partly attributes the big win to his partnership with Anthony.
After the first round of the competitions in Skokie, we both was able to relax and pretty much just allow our natural ability to take over.
Although Anthony has been on the job for close to 14 years, being paired up with Roosevelt also helped ease the pressure of the competition, which tested their problem-solving skills.
The problems that they gave us were various problems that you might encounter in certain emergency situations, and we came together to try and do our jobs as quickly and as safely as possible under time circumstances.
Together, Anthony and Roosevelt share the championship honors, but these two have a history that goes back to their early days.
Tony started mid-'80s, and I remember him the first day he came into the yard. I was fortunate enough to break Tony in as a switchman when he first started. Tony's a good guy.
Ironically, for the competition, student and teacher became partners by pure chance, by literally drawing names out of a hat.
That was like the luck of the draw, I don't know if it would have happened again like that in a million years, but, we came together and we did what he taught me, and then we just applied everything we knew together.
But they both say they owe their success to their former yardmaster, Ed Cook.
It just makes me feel great that they were the two that won it, because they were outstanding employees when they worked with me, and I was just elated and proud of them.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
The Blue Line takes us to a part of town known for its history. Just step off the L at Western and you'll experience a neighborhood thriving on arts, culture, and a dynamic historic park at the center of it all. Our destination, Humboldt Park.
North and west of Chicago's downtown sits a community known as Humboldt Park, home to more than 120,000 Chicagoans. That includes a large Latino community. From the moment you enter the neighborhood, you know you're in a place where its residents are proud of their heritage and welcome all visitors. As the president of the Humboldt Park Advisory Council, Jose Quias is one of the community's biggest advocates, and he's our tour guide for the day.
So Jose, tell me a little bit about Humboldt Park and why it's such a great destination.
Well, I think Humboldt Park, for the history that it has as far as different cultures that have lived in this area. I mean, we started way back with the Ukrainians, Polish, Germans, Puerto Ricans. So it's been very nice to have different cultures come around.
In fact, Humboldt Park has a long history as an immigrant neighborhood, dating back to the mid-1800s. As the century progressed, one of the draws for settlers was the community's centerpiece and its namesake.
There's a park here that's actually called Humboldt Park, right? It's in the center of Humboldt Park?
Yes, that I think is what caused the attention of everybody, that we have a big park in the middle of the city.
In the early 1900s, Humboldt Park was designed by Jens Jensen, probably Chicago's most famous landscape architect. Much of his naturalistic style and vision remains today, as does the original boathouse completed in 1907. Today, it's preserved as a landmark. The park plays a big role in community events, particularly in June.
So June's a big month here in Humboldt Park, right? Tell me a little bit about it. What goes on?
Oh man, June we start with the baseball, the softball, the little leagues, and then we end up with the big day, which is the parade.
That's the annual Puerto Rican Day Parade, perhaps the biggest day every year for the community and beyond. Following the downtown parade, everyone is invited back to Humboldt Park for a big celebration.
I mean, I tell people come out and enjoy it because it's a day where you could see different cultures. It's not only Puerto Ricans that come out. I mean, you see all nationalities, Mexicans, South Americans. I mean, they all come out and celebrate.
You can also come out and celebrate year-round along the central business strip in Humboldt Park, known as the Paseo Boricua.
The city of Chicago is known as the city of neighborhoods. And the attempt here is to develop a Puerto Rican version of a Chinatown or a Greek town. But it's called Paseo Boricua.
Bordered by Puerto Rican flags to the east and west, Division Street is where you'll find many quaint shops and any number of restaurants, many serving Puerto Rican cuisine. It's also where you can find the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, which houses one of the oldest alternative high schools in the city. There's also a library with an extensive collection of Puerto Rican literature. And feel free to stop in on Saturdays for free classes, everything from computer training to Spanish.
All of the classes are free, as well as the professors that come, and many times our professors, they volunteer their time to do these classes.
If you're into learning new things, Humboldt Park also offers a glimpse into the world of glassblowing.
You can come in right off the street, have no experience necessary, and you just come in and give us a couple of bucks and we'll walk you through your first piece of glass and you get to have that memento.
On Saturdays, Chicago Hot Glass offers free demonstrations with skilled glassblowers. It's always a sight to be seen.
It's so beautiful. You just have to kind of let it and help it do its own thing. And as you can see, people are just attracted to it.
The next time you want to get away to your own city, be sure to put Humboldt Park on your list. It's where The Wizard of Oz was penned by L. Frank Baum and where author Nelson Algren hung out. There's so much history and so much to do in Humboldt Park, and it's easy to get to on the CTA. Here's how. Just look for the flags and get ready to experience everything Humboldt Park has to offer.
The flags are a gateway into the Puerto Rican community to experience and learn about a community that a lot of people don't know much about and that I consider to be one of the best kept secrets in Chicago.
May is one of the busiest moving months of the year, and if you have plans to change residences, you'll likely be welcomed into your new neighborhood by the CTA. It's just one way the CTA can help you keep your commute on track.
Moving to a new home can be stressful, especially if you're new to the area. But the CTA is easing the process with its new resident program.
Moving to a new place was really a little disconcerting, and I was happy to kind of get the routing.
Gail Shapiro is one new resident who's taking advantage of the CTA's easy access near her new home.
It wasn't really that available where I lived before. I just didn't bother using it because it wasn't convenient. This is extremely convenient. I'm very pleased with it.
Here's how the program works. Each month, new residents are identified through a list of new telephone subscribers. These new residents who move to Chicago or many of the surrounding suburbs that the CTA serves are then sent informational brochures with an attached questionnaire. Once the questionnaire is sent back to the CTA, a new resident kit is mailed out, which contains a transit card with 2 free rides, a CTA map, and nearby bus or rail station timetables.
It's an opportunity for CTA to be proactive with the customer and us to reach out to them, for them to be able to take advantage of our system.
Now that Gail is familiar with her new surroundings and her local routes, she's using the CTA more than ever.
Well, I go downtown a lot. Go to Michigan Avenue, go to State Street, go to Adams Street. It's very, very handy for me.
Not only is she finding the CTA convenient, but she's also finding it affordable.
There were times I had to park downtown. $24 for 2 hours, 3 hours. I mean, I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, it was shocking to me. So I said, no, it has to be a better way to do it. And I found the better way, and the CTA was it.
This is a perfect opportunity for a customer to move into the Chicagoland area and get out and explore the system and explore this great city.
For more information on the CTA's new resident program, visit the CTA's website, www.transitchicago.com, or call 312-664-7200, extension 3065.
I was very pleased. I thought that was a lovely convenience, and I was happy to have it.
We're getting on the Green Line heading west. This is a popular route for anyone with an appreciation of all things, well, green. It'll take you right to the doorstep of Chicago's Garfield Park Conservatory, our last stop.
In Chicago, there's one place that's warm, lush, and green all year round. The Garfield Park Conservatory has been an urban oasis for city dwellers for almost 100 years.
This is one of those extraordinary places where you can step over the threshold and you are in a tropical rainforest or you are in a desert. The idea is you can come here and spend an hour wandering around through all of the different parts of the earth.
Aside from observing thousands of different plant species, you can also take some of that wonderful greenery home with you. The Garfield Market's City Escape Garden Center offers plants and flowers for sale. The Garfield Park Conservatory is known as the Garden Under Glass, and it's easy to get to on the CTA's Green Line. So take a ride to the conservatory and enjoy the nature all around you.
We'll tell you more about the Garfield Park Conservatory next month as we begin another adventure around Chicagoland. I'm Dale Rivera. See you next time on Connections.
For more information about the CTA or to use the RTA's trip planner, visit our website at www.transitchicago.com. Or for customer service matters, call 1-888-YOUR-CTA. And for travel information, call the RTA at 836-7000 from anywhere in the Chicago area.
I've traveled everywhere in this here land. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I leave that car behind. CTA will get me there. There's nothing I can't find. Yeah, I take it everywhere. I've been to Uptown, Downtown, Chinatown, Old Town, Evanston, Pullman, O'Hare, Logan Square, Forest Park, Oak Park, Hyde Park, Lincoln Park, Soldier Field, Baker Field, Garfield, Marshall Field. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.